There are lots of different types of alto reeds made by different manufacturers. You can buy synthetic or plastic reeds made from a man-made chemical substance which are continually improved in the manufacturing process to simulate the response of cane reeds. There are also plastic cover reeds, which are cane reeds covered in a thin coating of plastic. And there are also cane reeds, which are the most popular. Synthetic, plastic and plastic cover reeds all have their own advantages and disadvantages, some of which are in varying degrees across these products. Number 1, they never need to be soaked and thus are immediately ready for use. Cane reeds in comparison need to be wetted, usually with saliva or water. Number 2, they are unaffected by the weather, temperature or humidity. Cane reeds in comparison will vary in different areas of different humidity. Number 3, they are more consistent than cane reeds. Because synthetic reeds are made from a chemical synthesis, it is easier to reproduce the same quality. With cane reeds in a box of 10, you'll find that some reeds perform better than others. Number 4, they last longer. They can last up to 10 times longer than a cane reed. However, they cost about the same price of 10 cane reeds. Number 5, these reeds are non-porous and so make it difficult for bacteria to build up on them. Number 6, depending on the quality of these type of reeds, you may find that there is no difference in the sound or articulation when compared to cane reeds. Nevertheless, you do find some musicians switching back and forth between cane reeds and synthetic reeds. Since cane reeds are the most popular and most diverse, we will concentrate on these. Cane reeds come in two forms, filed and unfiled, though some brands of reeds may only be made in one version. A filed reed has a portion of cane shaved away towards the end of the vamp. Different brands can have different amounts of cane shaved away. The purpose of this is to make the reed more responsive. Shaving cane away from other parts of the reed can also change the dynamics and the response of the reed, so different reeds will be manufactured in various forms. The most important part of a reed is called the heart, which is the thickest part of the reed and gives the reed its strength. Designing a different length or width for the heart will produce a different type of reed. If you shine a light behind the vamp of the reed, you should be able to see an outline of the shape of the heart of the reed in the form of a darkened shadow. In this image, you can see two reeds. One reed has a longer heart than the other reed. Here I've tried to show you how the design of a reed can change depending on how the manufacturer shaves the contours of the reeds. Manufacturers would also design their reeds with different tip or stock thicknesses. Reeds are categorized by the resistance, that is how easy it is to get them to vibrate on a single breath. You can get them in 1, 2, 3, etc. or in fractions such as 1.5, 2 1/4. Some may use the letters S, M, H for soft, medium, hard, so a 2H, a 2M, etc. The smaller the number, the easier it is to play. The higher the number, the harder the resistance and the harder it is to play. These gradings vary from brand to brand, so a 2 on one make of reed may be slightly different from a 2 on another reed, so check the manufacturer's comparison chart, especially if you're changing from a cane reed to a synthetic reed where the difference will be more noticeable. Some musicians like to break in their new reeds in an attempt to prolong their lifespan. This is just a process of slowly using the reeds in order to get them accustomed to their new environment. The way you can break it in is like this. First, wet the reeds with cold water for a few minutes, making sure that they are not waterlogged. Then play them softly in the middle register for a few minutes each day. Gradually over a week, build up your playing time and the volume and the register in which you are playing. After a week, you should be able to see that the characteristics of these reeds will change and you'll be able to identify which reeds are the best. It's a good idea to mark your reeds to know which reeds are the best and play these reeds in rotation so you're not just playing the same reed over and over again. It's also a good idea not to play each reed for more than an hour at a time. You may find that you want to prepare your reeds in an attempt to make those not so good reeds into better reeds. There are a few things that you can do. You can polish the underside of the reed with paper, or if the reed doesn't sit flat on the surface, you can use some fine grade sandpaper, a blade or some other tool to remove some of the cane from the stock of the reed. You may want to try and make the reed more symmetrical by removing some of the cane from the vamp, but this is very technical and time consuming and you may damage the reed if not done correctly. How you store your reeds are also important. Some believe that the process of wetting the reeds and allowing them to dry out will reduce the lifespan of the reeds. So some musicians will keep their reeds constantly moist by keeping them in an airtight jar filled with some form of liquid. Other musicians will use some special type of reed container containing a humidity controller or make their own. while others would just allow their reeds to dry out. As you can appreciate, breaking in, preparing and storing reeds is a complex issue and can be time demanding. If this is something for you, then obviously you're going to have to research it to find which option is best for you. However, some musicians just feel it's not worth their time, it's taken away from their practice time, and will not really bother with any of this. There are many different types of ligatures which are secured with either 1 screw, 2 screws or no screws. If they have screws, then they may be designed to be on the top or bottom of the ligature. Some mouthpieces have ligatures built into them. They affect the sound in the way they secure the reed to the mouthpiece. Some will slightly dampen the resonance of the reed, while others are designed to give more resonance. This is done either through the use of materials, the degree of tightness that the ligature applies, or the amount of contact that the ligature has on the reed. For example, ligatures made with canvas or leather will slightly dampen the resonance, whereas a metal ligature will allow for more resonance. Some ligatures are designed with plates which make contact with the reed in different places. So here the Van Doren Optimum has 3 plates, each with different contact points which secure the reed in different places, thus giving a different sound. By contrast, the Thiawani plates are made of different materials which are designed to give a different sound. The degree to which you tighten these ligatures will also affect the sound. How much difference the ligature actually makes to the sound is debatable, as is whether it's worth buying an expensive premium ligature. It is best to try it for yourself and make your own judgment. Obviously, you want a ligature that will hold the reed securely and is easy to use. Different mouthpieces are made of different materials with different tip openings, different facing lengths, different chambers and different baffles, but they all work together to produce a sound and should not really be evaluated in isolation. It is a type of baffle that will make the most difference to the sound. Hard rubber or ebonite mouthpieces and metal mouthpieces are the most popular, but mouthpieces can be made from any sturdy materials such as marble, glass, wood, etc. Metal mouthpieces are stronger than ebonite and therefore made smaller, which is noticeable in the mouth when creating your embouchure. A smaller tip opening will be easier to blow because not a lot of air is needed to get the reed to vibrate. However, because the opening is small, if you blow hard, the reed may close out, stopping the sound. Beginners are encouraged to start on mouthpieces with smaller tip openings, which can be changed later when their embouchure has developed. A larger tip opening means that more air can be blown into the saxophone, creating a bigger sound. Also, there is more room for the reed to vibrate, making it easier to bend notes and use other inflections. However, it's also harder to blow and control the notes, so it requires greater skill. Usually an artist will use a harder reed with a smaller tip opening and a softer reed with a larger opening. Different manufacturers will categorize the openings using different codes, though you should be able to find the actual measurements in some fractional form of millimeters or inches. Some use a numerical code, for example, to select jazz alto mouthpieces, come in 5, 6, 7 or 8, while others use letters. For example, the Selma S80 alto mouthpiece comes in C, C star, C double star, D, E, F and G. The smaller the number or the closer the letter to the start of the alphabet indicates the smaller the tip size. The actual size vary with this coding system between manufacturers, so a 5 on one make may be different from a 5 on another make. So it's always best to use a tip opening chart when comparing mouthpieces, or still better to try them out by playing them. Famous saxophonists such as Coleman Hawkins, Stan Getz and Charlie Parker played a small tip opening mouthpieces such as a 3 or 4 for a good part of their career. Facing sizes or length of the curve refers to the distance from where the reed leaves the table of the mouthpiece to the tip of the mouthpiece. It comes in short, medium or long, with medium being the most popular, being the easiest for reed control. Chamber sizes come in small, medium and large and will affect the brightness of the sound. A large chamber will give a full dark sound, whereas a small chamber will give a more focused, brighter sound. But once again, it should not be evaluated in isolation, as a baffle can make it possible to use a different chamber and still get the required sound. So some manufacturers will just use one chamber. Chambers can also be round or square in shape, giving another dynamic to the sound. The baffle is the first thing that shapes the airflow after the tip and makes the most difference to the sound, from creating a dark sound to a brighter one. There are many different designs of baffles, each claiming to produce a different type of tone. Here are just a few of them. However, bear in mind that not all manufacturers will make all their models with all these different types of baffles. In summary, when creating your sound, you need to think about the type of reed, mouthpiece and ligature. You also need to match the type of reed with your type of mouthpiece so that the reed plays at its best. You could get the same setup as an artist that you admire, but that would not guarantee that you would play like them, because we all have different blowing styles, embouchure development, interior mouth shape, etc., which will all impact on the sound that we make. We also listen to different types of music, which will shape the concept of the sound which we produce.